All right, next up, we're fighting at 145 as Bryan Baumgart comes in fighting out of Highland Fighting System. Baumgart going to the cage with an 0-1 amateur record so far. Wearing the hood, I always think that's kind of ominous when guys are hooded coming to the cage. As Baumgart taking it off right now, going to get checked out. We are also going to check out the Carbon World Health tail of the tape right now as Baumgart Alexander just about set to get going. That was a look at Bryan Baumgart. Now, let's take a look at Mr. Rodney Alexander. Well-timed theatrical entrance for Rodney Alexander. The dreadlocks are ready. He looks ready in combat gear. Alexander looking for his second straight victory after starting off his amateur career with a draw in his first fight. In the last fight, he nearly took an arm with him as a trophy. One of my personal favorites, Rodney Alexander, right there, looking confident as he goes into his third amateur fight. So we take a look once again at the Carbon World Health tail of the tape. Alexander Baumgart coming up right now as we go to the cage. Rodney Alexander stepping into the cage as we are set for the next fight. Here we go up to 3
rounds. Introducing first, this man fighting out of the Coliseum Bar, red corner. He weighed in at 144 pounds. He represents Highland Fight Systems. He hails from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Please welcome to the cage, Bryan Baumgart. His opponent, this man fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison, blue corner. He hails from right here in Madison, Wisconsin, and represents the Chosen Few. His amateur record, 1 victory, 0 defeats, 1 bout ends by way of draw. He weighed in at 145 ready pounds. Please welcome to the cage, Renegade Rodney Alexander.
Alexander and Baumgart ready to go. It is our 4th fight of the evening, and Alexander, one guy who takes his fitness seriously, looks to be in great shape for this one, but I doubt that he's going to need all that fitness as he wants to end this early, as that seems to be the MO for Alexander, as a good exchange here in the center of the cage to get started in this one.
Yeah, good body kick early by Alexander, and then letting the hands go after that seemed to back Baumgartner off a little bit.
And now it's Baumgart who is pushing his weight against Alexander. Alexander quickly reverses it and uses his body to drive Baumgart into the cage.
That's it. Hip out, hip out.
Alexander, a big win in his last fight, ended it early.
Post separate.
Again, almost took an arm along with him as a trophy in that victory, as he looked a lot better in his second fight than in the first fight when he made his debut. It went the distance, ended up a draw, but Alexander does not want to let it go to the judges anymore.
He was dominant speed and power-wise in his last fight, so it really wasn't much of a test. We didn't get to see a whole lot from him. This looks to be a little bit better as far as us gauging where Rodney Alexander's at, because the one thing that you can definitely tell right up front with Bryan Baumgart is that strength-wise, speed-wise, they're fairly close, at least closer than his last opponent, although Rodney is in a good position right now to start laying down some damage.
Yep, good entry there on the takedown for Alexander and getting that nice takedown against the cage and doing what he needs to do right here, posturing up, getting those hips in, landing some strikes. Right now, Baumgartner on the bottom trying to get his head close to Rodney, maybe using that underhook to come up to his feet, but Alexander just punishing him on bottom.
Alexander with some good right hands into the face of Baumgart, who's able to get back up. They go back to the center of the cage, but that exchange definitely won by Rodney Alexander.
Hands up, set it up, Bryan. That's it, hands up, baby, hands up. Jab, jab.
Go back to kind of a feeling out process on the feet. Does a good check from that leg kick by Alexander, and both these guys in opposite stances really need to utilize that back leg for inside leg kicks, body kicks, head kicks. Always easier to land that kick on an opposite stance fighter, and see Alexander here again pinning Baumgart against the cage, looking for that takedown, giving him a little bit of damage, and now content to strike back in the center of the cage.
Baumgart able to block that takedown with his right leg as he worked out of it, as Alexander now back into a striking pose, a southpaw, and he grabs the leg of Baumgart and drives him down towards the side of the cage.
Yeah, and that's an amateur mistake we saw there by Baumgartner, kicking to that front side. You know, again, when you're in an opposite stance like that, you generally don't want to use that lead leg because it's very easy to catch, especially going for that body kick.
Good left and right by Alexander to finish the round. We are through 1 of 3 here. Alexander and Baumgart, round 2 next on 57 Sports. All right, back with Gerald Mearshart here as we are cage side. And Gerald, what did you see from both fighters in that first round?
So far, Baumgart, a game fighter, you know, getting back up from this bad position, but really Alexander having the one really dominant position in the fight and landing the cleaner strikes. I think he did enough to secure round 1.
Alexander looking fresh as we get round number 2 started here. The corners are out, and here we go. Glad you could join us here on 57 Sports, as we've been doing this now for a couple of years. Chosen Few Fighting Championships from Monona Terrace. Always a great time, as we are joined by Chris Garrity, Gerald Mearshart. I'm Rich Reynolds. Second round getting started, and Alexander again quickly on his opponent and taking advantage to close the gap and work inside now on Baumgart. And it looks like Alexander wants to get another takedown.
Yep, doing a good job transferring from the underhook. Had that little headlock there. I might have even stayed on the head and dragged him to the floor, but nonetheless, a good takedown, lifting the leg, getting that takedown. And now here, Alex needs to secure that top position.
Now back to striking again. Both guys have been able to manage, or have managed to land a few times as strikers, but once again, another takedown by Rodney Alexander, as he's scored a few of them so far in this fight.
Yeah, now what I'd like to see out of Alexander is not just some punishment from these positions, but it seems that Baumgart does a good job getting back up from the mat. And now when Alexander goes to secure those takedowns, maybe fake a takedown and use that to land a couple more strikes and do a little more damage on the feet.
Alexander trying to get rid of that right arm by Baumgart so he could land some more effective blows. Still landing, though, with that left head to the ear of Baumgart as he pushes him up against the cage.
Yeah, we see Alexander pushing Baumgart against the cage, kind of sticking him there so he can't really get his hips active and move around too much. Here, Baumgart more trying to hold him to protect himself and keep him close with those legs closed in that guard like that, and just kind of holding on, waiting for a break in the action until he can make his move. Baumgart needs to open up a little bit more right now, open his legs up, try to go for some sweeps, some submissions, give a threat off his back so he can either get a submission or get up back to his feet.
One of the things I really like about Rodney here is he's not too worried about that guard being closed. You see a lot of younger fighters, and you hear a lot of corners just always telling fighters, look to move, look to pass, you know, advance your position. But this is kind of old school Tito Ortiz, where he's long enough and he can do enough damage sitting in guard like this. He doesn't care if Baumgart's guard is closed, because Baumgart can't really do anything with him right now. So I love these old school type fights here, because Rodney is perfectly comfortable sitting here and letting Baumgart close his guard.
Yeah, and he's taking a lot of damage as Baumgart, as Alexander also landing shots to his side, not just his head, but using good body shots right now and scoring a lot of points. Rodney Alexander with a good-looking second round as he was dominant in that one. We'll see if he can put it away in round number 3 here on 57 Sports. good second round from Rodney Alexander, who has been dominant so far in this fight. He has had control of it. What does he need to do, though, to put Baumgart away in the third round?
Well, in my opinion, keep sticking to those takedowns that he's getting every single time. Just posture up a little bit more and try to look for that one big shot.
We'll see if he can find it here in the third round. Alexander looking to stay undefeated, while Baumgart is looking for his first amateur win. He is 0-1. Rodney 0-1 as a flurry there, and it's Alexander getting the better of that exchange once again.
Now we
left
see Alexander
hand from Alexander, yeah.
Yeah, opening up with some straight strikes down the middle. He wasn't doing that too much earlier, and that was a much better look on the feet, and that's going to allow him to not only get an easier takedown, but if he feints a takedown before that, he could possibly rock Baumgart.
You know, we haven't gone there yet, Gerald, but I think we have to mention Alexander's old school Shoney Carter style shorts too.
Yeah, coming in with the American flag. Clearly they're underwear, but you know he's got the Diamond MMA cup underneath, and it's covering everything it needs to cover. So you know what? I'm all for it.
He's just showing off, man.
Fans
I wish
at home,
I could
if you
look
ever
that
get a
good.
chance, go onto YouTube, look up Mr. International Shoney Carter. Fantastic shorts.
Is that right? Rodney wears them well, as this round a lot different than our first two. It has been a striking round here. Both guys content to exchange blows. It does seem, though, like Alexander is dishing out more punishment here than is Baumgart.
Yeah, Baumgart so far seems like his best chance is on the feet, even though it's not going too great his way right now. There's always a chance you can get clipped. So when you've been dominated on the ground like that, you might as well stand and let the hands go and see if you can't get something. But again, Alexander testing it out on the feet, landed a little bit, and now he's decided that it's time to take it back down to the mat where he's been so dominant. Baumgart doing all he can to try and circle off the cage and get some separation.
Baumgart trying to block yet another Alexander takedown. Alexander will continue with shots to the right side of Baumgart. Baumgart gets out of it right now as he tries to attack Alexander straight on, but Alexander with a nice counter.
And there we see Alexander ducking in again, looking for that takedown, but now it's Baumgart reversed him, went for a takedown of his own, and kind of leaned in a little bit too much for that overhand right and is giving up a leg, and now Alexander glued to him against the cage, and it
Baumgart just had a look on his face that just showed defeat is what it did. He hasn't been able to mount any kind of offense for this entire fight, and you can tell right now that he's realizing the end is near and he's not going to win this fight.
Rodney Alexander with a powerful slam as the final 15 seconds of the fight are ticking off. Baumgartner's going to be happy just for it to be over as Alexander continues to strike at will. Rodney Alexander with an impressive performance. We expect to see him get his hand raised. We will see that coming up right after this. This is Chosen Few Fighting Championships, and this is 57 Sports. Action from the third round, a lot of striking in round number 3, and it seemed like Rodney Alexander, whether they were on the mat or whether they were on their feet, it was Alexander who got the better of it.
Yep, Alexander dominating everywhere. Baumgart doing all he can to try and fight back, but just couldn't get it done.
All right, ladies
tonight.
and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of featherweight action, we go to the judges' scorecards for a unanimous decision. All 3 judges have scored this bout the same, 30-27, in favor of your winner, ladies and gentlemen, fighting out of the blue corner, Renegade Rodney Alexander.
Alexander with a well-deserved victory. He won every round. It wasn't even close. A nice, dominant appearance by Alexander. Let's hear from the winner now.
Make this happen, and let's get a quick interview here with Rodney. Let's face the camera right over here, bud. So the 3rd time we've seen you in the cage, the 2nd time we've seen you dominant in the cage. You felt pretty comfortable with him. It looks like he, in the beginning, was, you know, strength-wise at least matching you, but eventually when you got on top, you were pretty dominant even from the guard position. So how comfortable did you feel through the whole fight?
I felt lovely through the whole fight. He was strong, but martial arts is not about who's stronger. It's about who can win.
So we didn't get to see you much on the feet. You fought a very intelligent fight, staying on top, whether it was guard, half guard, and you did a lot of damage from there. Did you want it to end up on the ground like that?
I actually had mentioned wanting to be on the feet, but I think instinct takes over and you just take the guy down. You guys seen who was in here with me? Alex Gilpin. When you get beat up by that guy, this is nothing. So this is like a round of sparring for me.
Well, good. Dominant, still undefeated. You just had your third fight in here. We can't wait to see you back again, Rodney. Let's give him one more round of applause. Rodney Alexander.
Always a colorful character, and he wins again. Rodney
All right, folks,
Alexander,
that's 4 fights in the
victorious.
books.